Hey guys, so I have a problem. I want a new desk for the reasons I'll outline in a second, and desks, especially standing desks, are just really expensive. Just check out all of these desks. It's kind of ridiculous. So my goal here today is to make a desktop for under $100 that looks super premium. Your personal wish list for a desk might be slightly different than mine, but throughout this video, you'll see how easy it is to make something look super premium with just a little bit of creative thinking. You don't even need that many fancy tools. So let's get into making this leather top desk for under 100 bucks. Now I'm weird, and when I'm sitting at a desk, I like the desk to hug me, which means that most desks are just not deep enough for me. I tried putting this piece of wood wrapped in suede on the desk, but it didn't work super well, because although it did hug me, it reduced the size of the workspace significantly, and I could never keep it clean no matter how hard I tried. So I wanted something bigger and more professional looking. A wrinkle in this desktop's design has to be that the base is on a standing desk from Costco, which annoyingly has the buttons in the top glass panel rather than being on the side like most standing desks are. So we're going to have to account for that. So I headed over to Home Depot, or you could go to Lowe's, and picked out some 3/4 inch melamine, which was $43.98 for a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet. Now I picked melamine because it's cheap and strong for this use case. Plus, no one is going to see the surface of this in the end. The cool thing about places like Lowe's or Home Depot is that they'll cut the sheet lumber for you right then and there, which makes it way easier to carry and get home, plus that cut is really straight. Now I chose for them to cut it to be 3 feet by 4 feet, so we'll have another 5-foot by 4-foot section for a different project. Unfortunately, it was raining, so I had to improvise with a picnic blanket to keep the melamine dry. I then headed over to Joann Fabrics and picked out a leatherette that I thought looked pretty. They have a decent selection over there, and there are almost always coupons, so I only ended up spending $40 or so on the leather itself. So far we're at 60 bucks when you split up the cost of the melamine because I'm not going to use all of it. I then took it home and rounded over the corners with a jigsaw, which, if you're doing this for yourself, go slow, because otherwise you'll get a ton of tear out and you'll have to sand it a bunch like I did. Next, I took a 1/4 inch roundover bit to the whole thing to make it so the leather would go over the edges more easily. Now, if you don't have a router, that's okay. You could use a sander to round over the edges. It's just not going to be as exact, and it's going to take a bit longer. This was my first time really using a router, and it was pretty easy. Once that was all done, I took the panel inside, cleaned it up, and laid the leather on top of it. I used this spray adhesive to attach the two together, and although it looks like I used a lot of it, I probably should have used even more because I had a couple spots that I missed. Now I needed to be really detail oriented in this phase to make sure that I didn't get any bubbles. I had originally thought the spray adhesive would have been enough on its own to make the edges tight, but just to be sure, I used a staple gun to attach the underneath side. Remember how earlier I said that Costco's tables have the buttons on the top rather than the side? Well, to make sure I could still reach them, I decided to raise the whole desk up by 1.5 inches with some scrap pine that I had laying around. So I could just slide my fingers in and click it. I did this rather than putting a hole in the table, so in case I wanted to use this table for something else or a different table base in the future, I could. I then countersunk the pilot hole so the screws wouldn't scratch the glass surface of the table. And just to be extra sure that the wood wouldn't scratch and to make sure the wood didn't slide around, I used this rug tape. Then once that was all in, all I had to do was set it up on top and attach all the monitors and such. Now, if you're going to do this for your own desk, you would just mount the top to the table legs of your choosing. Now, before I show you the final beauty shots, let's tally up the price. We spent about $20 on the melamine, $40 on the leather, 10 bucks on the spray adhesive, and let's say another $5 on sanding pads and such. We'll throw another 5 bucks in for the wood risers, even though they were technically scrap, and 5 bucks for the rug tape, and that adds up to about $85 in material to make this desktop, which I think looks really good. This is it after a month, and it still looks great. I'd love to hear what you think of this project in the comments below. If you like learning about business and ways to save money by doing things yourself, consider clicking that subscribe button. Also, I'd love to hear if you think that making a kitchen table with this technique would be a good idea. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.